Hey y'all, I'm back with another live video. Hope all is well. Happy weekend, happy holidays. I wanted to know if you guys have any idea what the heck is a gridlock pattern. You probably don't know, but for those of you who don't know, if you want to get dreadlock, you need to know the gridlock pattern you want to start with. What is a gridlock pattern? I'll be right back. Let's vibe. And welcome to my dreadlock diaries. Let's vibe. Okay, so gridlock patterns. If you know, you know. What are gridlock patterns? Gridlock patterns are how you start your dreadlocks, the parts you want in your scalp. So if you look closely, my gridlock pattern is not a square and it's not a diamond and it's not a circle. What is this gridlock pattern? There are different names for it, but mine's is called scallop, or some may say various. But I'm gonna show you this handy dandy photo, and you'll have a great idea what I'm talking about. So at the top left we have the diamond part, and the top right we have the triangle. At the bottom right we have the random, and at the bottom left we have the square. My parts specifically fit in with the random. Some people may call it scallops, may call it C parts. It is not a diamond or a square or a rectangle or a triangle. It is a kind of like a scallop C shape, and it goes based on the hair growth in your head, how your hair is spaced. So we want to be sure if you have bald spots, you need to pay particular attention to this grid. If you have thinning hair, you want to pay particular attention to this grid. If you have, short and long and thick and thin spots in your hair, you want to pay attention to this specific grid. So the grid part is what you start out with before you even choose the size part you want. So, for example, there's the diamond size. So, the diamond size is probably not the best size chart to start with if you have bald spots in your head or if you have thin spots, because that big diamond shape will show very noticeably and transparently where those bald spots or thin parts are. Same with the triangle. I feel like, that big chunky part may not be satisfying or presented well on your head if you have areas in your head that are not that well maintained or well kept. So want to pay attention to that part as well. I feel like, the random, which is the scallop or C parts, are the best parts to choose from if you have some thinning spots in your head, if you have different textures in your head, if you have some insecurities you don't want to show, whether it be a scar on your head or dandruff or a tattoo or just different textures in your head. You may want to like stick towards a random part, which will cover and not display those areas of weaknesses or insecurities. Same with the square part. I feel like the square part is great for people with thicker hair. Um, and I feel like, it looks really well on the hair. The only thing about it, as your hair may grow, it may kind of possibly thin out. Like the parts may look more noticeable and visible, if that makes any sense. So I highly recommend the random part. I don't like the triangle. I don't like the diamond. I don't like the square. I like them all before I knew the purpose of them. Once I understood the purpose of them, I'm like, okay, I can't do the diamond. I can't do the triangle. I can't do the square because I have different textures throughout my head. I have different lengths throughout my head. I have, insecurities like most people, and I do have some thin areas. So for my front of my head, my whole frontal area where the baby hair area is very thin from over processing before having dreadlocks for putting too much heat processing. So for me, the triangle part and the square part and the diamond part just will not look good for me because there's no way to fill in those thin areas of the frontal part of my hair to make it look full. However, with the random, I can do that because, it's not a strict, specific type part. It's more vague, it's more ambiguous, it's more round, it's more open where you're getting different parts. Um, You're not cutting a specific sharp section, so to say. I'm not sure if you guys can tell right now, but I'm gonna try to show you my head close up, see if you can tell. So looking closely, I'm get my lighting together. You can see my parts are not diamonds, they're not squares, they're not rectangles. They fall into the random. Some may call it C scallop, C section, various, and this works for me because again, I have some thin parts. I have thinning in the frontal area, so the diamond square won't satisfy me. It won't do justice for me because it's gonna just make that area extremely more visible than I prefer it to be. So that's why it's important to know before you pick your lots what kind of parts you want, what sizes you want, because the grid part and the size complement each other. So you can't necessarily. I don't think it would look appropriate to have like a diamond shaped part grid with an extra large size lots. I think that wouldn't work well. This is not how I have my hair, but whatever. I think it just wouldn't work well. Like you want your locks to look neat. You want it to look kept. You want the it's look fresh. So you need to think about these two things together: your grid part pattern and your lock part size. Your grid part pattern and your lock size to complement each other. So you can definitely have sister locks in a diamond square shape with the extra small micro lock sizes. But sister locks with a scallop section may be okay as well. But the bigger you go in your lock size, the lock pattern grid should complement it at the same time, you know? So you saw mine here, I have the random slash scallop sections. Um, my loxist was able to tell me like, this makes your hair look fuller versus thinner. So you have thinner hair, boxes, diamond squares are not for you. You have thinner hair, you want to go scallop or random because they grab parts of the hair to make the hair look fuller all the way around. So I appreciate that because the older you get, the thinner your hair may get, or if you come from a family where have thick hair, it may have skipped you, or you may have over processed your hair, over permed your hair, colored your hair, dyed your hair, put too many tight curls in your hair, presses, wigs. You may have done things to your hair, bleaches, dyes, and chemicals that by the time you get to wanting locks, you may not have the healthiest, fullest amount of hair. So, again, showing you the grid part pattern helps you know where to start. If you have super thin hair, a diamond shape or triangle shape or square shape will just make that thin visible part of your hair look extremely noticeable for everyone to see. So you want to compliment yourself with the style you're using. So the thicker your hair is, I feel like you're okay to use the diamond parts and the triangle parts, the square parts, because you're not hiding any boldness, you're not hiding any thinness, and your hair will look nice and full. So if you want your hair to look fuller, pick a random part, or C part. If your hair's already full and you don't have any thin areas or bald spots, diamond, triangle, square works for you. But if you have alopecia, if you have cancer, you've had thinning hair, you've had bald spots, do not pick the diamonds, do not pick the triangle, do not pick the square. Pick the scallop because the scallop would be able to make your hair look fuller than it actually is. So just know that for reference. If your hair is damaged and weak, you want to chop all your hair off to a Caesar or a big chop and start from the fresh grade of textured hair that's going to grow out of your scalp. But if you don't want to do that, I didn't do that, go with the random parts. It doesn't show the negative areas or the thinning areas of your head. It makes your hair feel fuller and look good. For example, if you guys don't know, I have thin parts. I just showed you my thin parts. So I'm rocking the scallop random cut section of the grid part because I don't want my thin parts to be extremely noticeable when I get a retwist. I don't want it to look very bold and spacious when I'm getting, my hair styled because there's only so much you can do to fill in to cover those bald spots or those thinning spots. So again, if you heard anything throughout this entire video, if you have a lot of thick, full hair, you can go in any pattern you want. But if you're struggling from alopecia, you have cancer, you have thin spots, you have bald spots, you colored, you dyed, you did a lot of wigs and weaves, and you have really thin, sensitive hair that needs to be treated, I recommend you either go with the random parts so it can look fuller, or start with a big chop. Start from a baldy and work your way up. Now, again, if you don't want to keep restarting this pattern, listen to this video from beginning to end because I promise you it's worth it in full detail. I'm happy with me picking the random scallop C-section part grid because looking back, diamond, triangle, and square would not work for me because my entire frontal area, I have some thin spots. So that didn't work for me, you know. So to each his own. Hopefully, you guys like this video. You found it informative. Please give it a thumbs up. Please leave a comment. Please share this video. Let me know if you have any questions about this video from starting your locks to picking the right grid part pattern, even as well as to picking the right lock sizes. I'm definitely going to link my last video, which I talked about lock sizes, to this video so you guys can make sure you're making the best decision when you actually start your dreadlocks. And for those of you who are not ready, just start with crochet locks. They can come in any size. You can get any part size because they're not real locks. You can do crochet. You can have the stylist part your hair in a diamond, a triangle, or a square, and they can literally hook each fake synthetic lock to that section part. And you have nothing to worry about if you try that. You know, so it's each his own. I did that before starting my locks. I did the crochet locks and I loved it. Once I did the crochet locks, I knew I could pull it off. Confidence came later, you know, learning how to do my hair, all that stuff came later, but I knew I could do it. Peace out, y'all. That's all I got for you guys. Thank you guys for watching to the very end of this video. Hope you guys found this informative. You know, somebody with locks who wants to start out. They don't know where to start. They don't know what pattern to start out with. They don't know what size to start out with. They just don't know in general. Make sure you share this video with them. Give it a thumbs up. Ask them in the comments of this video. If you caught this in a replay, thank you guys for supporting and watching. All my new subscribers, day one. Appreciate y'all. Everyone else who's just subscribing, you know. I hope you enjoy the channel. Please check out my locker tea and all that good stuff. Peace, y'all. Gotta go. Happy Sunday. Hope all is well, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.